Thunder and Berry Vikings. We welcome you back to our live coverage here on NCAA.com. Lincoln Rose along with Sydney Gearbrack. Sydney, we saw CNU with a walk-off home run in the 9th inning against TLU, so the captains await the winner of this series tomorrow. I say series, this could be just one game. Trine is just like CNU. They've won both their games, only had to suit up once yesterday. And if Anna Keppel has her way, if she can pick up a win in this first game, they will move on to tomorrow. Otherwise, Berry has to beat them twice after suffering a loss yesterday.
Well, and Anna Keppel has a tall task in order to support her teammate Adrienne Rossi, who pitched outstanding to get the Trine Thunder to this moment.
Over the right side. And one away. Emma Beyer over to Swart out, retires Katie White.
Batting second, third base, number 16, Riley Jackson.
We talked about how great Rossi was in the first 2 games that Trine played, but it's Lauren Clausen and Anna Keppel that have shouldered the innings pretty evenly. Outside of Rossi's work this season, Anna Keppel having come into this game with a 2.49 ERA. Both Clausen and Keppel having thrown 64.2 innings on the year.
Last year, Keppel was first team all-conference. This year, despite an injury, she was limited before spring break this season. Second team all-conference showing. She was their ace a year ago. But a nice luxury to have here. So again, extra innings, 9-inning affair between CNU, who still has only lost once. And I mentioned this for each of our new audiences. To deny CNU a national title, somebody has to beat them twice over the next 2 days when they haven't even lost twice all season long. But right now, it's Trine and Berry worried about the task at hand. Berry was your 5 seed, Trine your 6 seed, TLU was your 4 seed. So CNU, the top seed, really the only team based on seeds that was able to hold up. Really no surprise. The committee is forced to reseed the teams, but all 8 teams very much have a realistic path to playing in that championship series. Now down to 3 teams in the hunt. Here's the 2-2 to Riley Jackson. Jackson, second team all-conference, the sophomore out of Sugar Hill, Georgia, facing Keppel. Trine has only needed to suit up twice so far this week. They have taken the shortest path possible. Off the glove of Keppel. Second baseman Beyer has it. 2 away. And the second baseman have to be ready for that glance off the glove. Not a problem for Beyer.
And Beyer has been so solid over there at second. We saw in yesterday's 6 different contests, the infield struggled for many teams, and ultimately it was those who could limit the amount of free passes, limit the amount of errors, that ultimately walked away with the wins and resulted in our 4 teams that competed today.
We are guaranteed a first-time national champion this week. Only previous champions were Eastern and TLU. This is the first championship appearance by the Berry Vikings. This is the second year they made a super regional. Just their 5th NCAA tournament overall. Remember, a program that had never played before 2010. Meanwhile, for Trine, their 4th appearance in the championship, most recently in Tyler, Texas. This one punched out towards right, could be trouble. I say that, Taylor Murdoch's out there in right, able to track it down in the gap. That's 3 up, 3 down behind the arm of Anna Keppel. Vikings go in order. And just for the 3rd time this week, we see the Thunder of Trine, and it'll be Ellie Trine set to lead things off here in Salem. Well-earned moniker of Virginia's championship city here in Salem, as countless Division III championships have been crowned, even some D2 titles here in softball over the years. Lincoln Rose, Sydney Gearbrack with you. Great to have you with us, as this is the 4th day of action, scheduled to go 6 days. That'll be the last time I mention the number 6, as we are fresh off of a busy day of softball yesterday when we went from 8 teams down to 4. Berry played twice. Trine only had to play once yesterday. Trine and CNU were the only 2 teams that got away with just suiting up for 1 game in that 6-game festive affair. Top of the order, Trine. No, she does not get a discount in the bookstore. And she leads things off. Taylor Murdoch, Amanda Prather. As this one up into the clouds comes down, Aaliyah Thornton, 1 away. As Trine, your player of the year in their conference, retired.
And both of these ball clubs showing their offensive prowess in this national championship tournament. We saw Berry stun TLU to take that first win, keep themselves in the winner's bracket.
Yeah, held the Bulldogs to 1 run on that opening day.
Incredibly difficult to do. We didn't even see the captains be able to do that in our previous game. But Trine making quick work of their opponents too, doing a great job. Murdoch here, an important part of those wins.
So here's how CNU's win does affect both these teams. If Berry wins this game, they'll turn right back around and play that second contest, an elimination game. Had TLU won, and these 2 teams would have played a nightcap with TLU and CNU coming right back after this first game. But at most we'll see 3 games today, already 1 in the books. As Taylor Murdoch at the plate. This one is going to be out of play. Count 1 and 2.
This is the first time we've seen Emily Whitehead in the circle for Berry. Hannah Gore and Blair Hall have really split the innings thus far in this tournament. Good to see, again, some depth of bullpen for another program. Whitehead coming into this game with a 2.08 ERA.
Yeah, Emily out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, the freshman. Again, sometimes we come into this day and we say these 2 teams that are 2-0, you can go ahead and book them into that championship series. But we've seen a lot of teams this week. We felt like we're built well enough to come out through an elimination bracket with their pitching. TLU almost got it done. CNU did a good job keeping Kelly Jordan off the base paths all but once.
We saw some fight in the Salisbury Seagulls throughout this tournament too. I believe they came into this tournament as the 2 seed.
Yeah, same conference as CNU. They were undefeated going into yesterday this week, but then lost both of their games. Had a quick turnaround after their first loss in a run rule. You can blame a certain group of Thunder for that. Yeah, not only did Trine only play once yesterday, they only stuck around for 5 innings.
The first and only run rule thus far of this tournament. Don't really expect to see a run rule this late in the season, but Trine was able to do it.
Again, 2 away here with Amanda Prather at the plate. After the strikeout of Murdoch a moment ago. Prather, first team all-conference, the shortstop out of Indianapolis. Twice now, first team all-conference. Was also on the all-regional team this postseason. That's a foul ball as Riley Jackson tries to snag it backhanded. Prather's been the anchor of this defense, and her bat has just been that much more appreciated with 40 runs batted in coming into the week. Nobody to move around the bases right now with a 2-2 count. Punched out towards right. Maroney dealing with the sun, has the shades on, and has the catch. 3 up, 3 down. So both of our starting pitchers worked through the minimum in the first inning. Quickly on to the second here in Salem, Virginia.
And the use of flash photography is only permitted between innings. Finally, please return all softballs and outside.
Anna Keppel back in the circle for her second inning of work for Trine. As both defenses getting the job done in the first inning. Quickly on to the second now. One of the Thunder fans got here early, caught a little bit of the first game today. Well, they've enjoyed their time here. We've seen some quality tailgating out in the parking lot after their wins.
Nice to see the Thunder get so much support.
As Morgan Fry will lead things off, and she can single-handedly give Berry a lead. This one back into the backstop. Morgan, 13 home runs, including one this week. That's the most in a single season for this young program. She's got some wheels as well. 8 for 8 in the stolen base department. Left side, charging Scarlett Elliott across the diamond. I will say the teams were saying today that infield even crisper than what we've seen throughout the week.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was in the air yesterday, but most infields had an error or two at least. Some struggle, just making some routine plays and some of the difficult plays. And seen almost flawless defense so far from the infields that we've had play today.
Shelby Daniel was second team all-conference this year in the Southern Athletic Conference, or Southern Athletic Association probably. Pardon me. Better than a 400 hitter coming into this week out of Temple, Georgia. Facing Anna Keppel for the first time, second team all-conference pitcher in the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Again, Trine out of Angola, Indiana. Berry out of Mount Berry, Georgia. We saw Trine as recently as 2019 down there in Tyler, Texas. They would finish tied for third, which means this right here is the stage in which they exited. I believe it was against TLU that year, the eventual champions. TLU would play Emory in the best-of-3 game series, only need to play 2. Last year we went all 3 between TLU and eventual champion Virginia Wesleyan. This one's punched and in for a base hit from Shelby Daniel. Murdoch will track it down. First base runner of the day belongs to the Vikings.
And Shelby Daniel taking a well-placed pitch there from Keppel and doing what she can to drop it in the triangle between second base, right, and first base.
All right, so here is Blair Hall. And we've got to know Blair quite well. Pitcher, DP today, just swinging a bat right now. With the starting nod going to Whitehead. And Hall takes that off the fists. I think Trine fans are inclined to believe that she may have been over the plate with that. It's not going to be the prevailing argument. 2 on.
And after Keppel making quick work of Berry offense, it doesn't look like it's her hands. Looks like it hit her right on the forearm.
Let me ask you, is that a strike?
No.
That's why I asked.
A little bit too high, right at the letters.
Bunt placed down by Gamble. Able to execute. Elliott gets the out, 2 away.
And I think that's the highest we've seen Gamble in the order thus far. I think she was holding down maybe the 7th or 8th spot in earlier games. But does her job, able to execute that sacrifice bunt.
Moves Shelby Daniel after her single to third. Blair Hall, who was hit by a pitch, to second. Here's Sydney Maroney. Bottom half of this lineup for Berry, trying to produce here in the second inning. Phillips able to squeeze it for a strike. Only a sophomore, hitting about 300 on the year. 0-2 hole with 2 outs, but 2 on. It was a 1-out single for Shelby Daniel. Blair Hall was then hit by a pitch. The sac bunt has each advanced them 60 feet, courtesy of Abby Gamble. And Maroney trying to avoid stranding a couple of teammates. 1-2, slow roller plays to be hands at first, and Amanda Prather comes through. So Berry threatens, but ultimately Trine keeps them from crossing home plate as we remain scoreless here in Salem. Berry trying to give Emily Whitehead a lead to work with, but Strand 2 in scoring position in the top half of the second inning. Again, Trine gets to be the home team here by virtue of being the 2-0 squad entering this matchup. But if they can't take advantage of it, the Vikings would be riding a win into that second game, and the Vikings would be your home team. Now, of course, CNU took advantage of being the home team by being able to walk one off with a solo shot to lead off the ninth inning. That then left us waiting for this matchup. Sword out. Ahead of the count, 2-0. And Whitehead worked through the first inning, 3 up, 3 down. Sword out the cleanup hitter here for Trine. Out of Westfield, Indiana, second team all-conference this year. And that ball gets through. First base runner for Trine, first hit for Trine. It's Ashley Sword out. And you wonder what Donnie Dinkelson thinks this game is going to be like. And I think this is an indication, as he's going to run for Sword out. Emily Wheaton. Hopes to have a chance to cross the plate here this inning.
We talk so often about how important it is to play one pitch at a time, one game at a time, have that short-term memory when things don't go your way. Whitehead needing to lean into that here, and the Thunder needing to capitalize here early as often as they can when they have runners on base and they have a full set of outs here to work with.
Wheaton primarily a pinch runner, 17 of 19 in the stolen base department. She goes, but Elliott was also swinging. She'll have to retreat after the foul ball. Trine survived a scare in the top half of this inning. Still scoreless after 2 Vikings were left in scoring position. They now have their first base runner. Trine 34-11 now on the year. This one will stay in the infield, and that means Wheaton has to stay at first as Shelby Daniel brings it in for out number 1.
Second base, number 6, Emma Beyer.
Brings up the freshman Emma Beyer out of Rochester, Michigan. 300 hitter in her first year. She was your super regional most outstanding player. As the runner goes on the miscue, and Wheaton has her 18th stolen base on the year.
I want to talk about contribution margin. Wheaton being used as a pinch runner all year long. Able to contribute for her team offensively every opportunity she gets.
So even though the last batter was retired and Wheaton could not move, she's now advanced herself into scoring position and right into the middle of your screen. And Wheaton, a sophomore at the plate, is the freshman Beyer, facing Emily Whitehead. Freshman in her own right. I don't think coaches think of any of these freshmen as freshmen right about now. The average freshman in softball this time of year is done and already thinking about their sophomore campaign.
In a different mix for many of these programs. We talked about CNU having so much senior leadership, but many of these programs getting to benefit from freshmen and sophomores in the circle and in their lineup. It'll be interesting to see how these players develop in the next couple of years of their career.
2-2, Beyer sends this one out into no man's land, ranging back and unable to make the catch, Daniel. As Wheaton goes down to third. And with that commitment, unable to bring it in, running the whole time was Beyer. She's on second.
Well, and this is what's so important about those triangular pockets in between your infield and outfield. That's a tough ball no matter who's calling it from the jump. Probably a lot of spin on that ball as well, but it hangs a little bit. So there may have been a miscommunication there.
I mean, that's just a tough ball. Somebody might have been able to get to it, but we would have been singing the praises of whoever did.
Yeah, see, that ball hangs a little bit. Looks like they were looking to default to Shelby Daniel. And understandable, right? She's the shortstop. She sees that ball a lot, has to go back on it. But actually might have been easier for our left fielder to take that ball.
So both teams this inning have had runners on third and second. The difference is Trine doing it with one out, while Berry waited until they had two. Here's Mercedes Doherty, the DP, out of the 7th spot in the lineup. Wheaton, the runner, on third. Beyer took second after batting that ball in play. They actually officially rule it a double for Beyer. As Whitehead buys herself some time. Doherty squares around. Play will not be had at the plate. And no out recorded at first. Second runner comes home. And that is why you execute the bunt. Force that defense with the pressure on them to execute. Berry can't do it, and it costs them 2 runs. Wheaton and Beyer come home.
Well, and 2 runs coming home on a miscue like that. Again, forcing the defense to have to make a play. Not only looking to sacrifice, so there's that level of being unselfish as a player, getting an opportunity to contribute, but always an opportunity to get on base and move runners around. And this was the best case scenario for Trine.
And 1 pitch later, Anna Gill unable to get her bunt down. Another look. And the moment that one was squeezed loose, you saw flashing right at the bottom of your screen across third base. Going home was the second run, and Emma Beyer.
Good little piece of heads-up running by Emma Beyer.
You'd understand if there were 2 outs, sure. But she was ready to go. So Anna Gill, the 5th bat of this inning, with Doherty over on first. That last game by CNU was the first time they hadn't trailed this week. So it certainly came close against TLU. Trine right now strikes first. Out towards center, that's out number 2. Thornton brings it in and quickly gets it back into the infield as Doherty with no place to go. 2 away.
That's a good solid barrel there by Gill. It's got to feel good coming off of her bat. Going to be looking forward to that next at bat. She's able to barrel something up, hopefully in the pocket where it can drop.
Here's your 9-hitter, Ainsley Phillips, the freshman, who's also your backstop for Trine pitching. Sixth batter of this inning to face Whitehead. Again with a single from Swartout. Let's see if this will end the inning. Gamble says she has it, battling the sun. So Trine brings 6 to the plate and scores the first 2. Thunder just need 1 win today to move on to the championship series tomorrow with CNU. Well, the Vikings were poised to strike first last inning as they had runners on second and third, but could not bring either home. And 1/2 inning later, Trine able to strike for the first pair. Here's your number 9 hitter, Aaliyah Thornton, one of the fastest athletes we have seen this week. See if she can get something started for the Vikings.
And speaking of small ball, we saw Trine Shows why it's so important to be able to execute in those seemingly innocuous moments, but Aaliyah Thornton is going to be that player that is going to touch and go, going to kill teams with her speed.
Yeah, she's more like touch and gone. You hesitate, she'll take advantage. Top of the order is right behind her, Katie White, Riley Jackson, Anna Jackson. With Anna Keppel in the circle, for the first time has a lead to work with. If I recall correctly, Adrian Rossi pitched all but one inning so far this week before we see Keppel get the start today. I mean, Rossi was just under the radar, but fantastic. This one foul out of play. Your pitcher of the year in their conference.
When Rossi had that unfortunate weather that she had to deal with against that first team, that first game against Eastern. She and Michon went head to head, and it was like every single time Michon was on the mound, the rain would stop.
Keppel, no play to be made. Aaliyah Thornton, I think we only said it 2 or 3 times. Fast.
Fast. Again, there's not much opposing defenses can do with Thornton.
See how long she stays on first. Infield single, back to the top of the order. Katie White, your newcomer of the year in the conference. First team all-conference as a freshman out of Atlanta. Just shy of a 400 hitter coming into this week. 8 home runs, 40 RBI. First team all-region is named by the NCAA. We'll say hi to our friends at the NCAA. It's a busy time of year for them, recognizing a lot of great student athletes throughout a variety of NCAA divisions as well as junior college. The 1-1. Throw down. That's Aaliyah Thornton. Stolen base.
We've seen a couple stolen bases so far today, Lincoln, but there's been a bit of like a hop and a skip with the pop-up slide for at least 2 of those stolen bases. Aaliyah Thornton comes up with a great slide, easily beats out the throw.
A big cut on the 1-2 as Keppel strikes out White. So 1 away with Thornton in scoring position.
Number 16, Riley Jackson.
And if I'm Keppel, I'm just wanting to settle in here, focus on the batter. Whatever's going on behind me doesn't matter. Trust my defense.
Remember, Riley Jackson shot one back to the pitcher. This time, it's Elliott. Looks the runner back, throws across the diamond, and that is a championship caliber defense executing with significant ramifications. A double play to get out of the inning. Wow. Thunder execute on the big stage. Looking to grow on a 2-run lead.
And some big defense being executed by the Thunder. Second and third out of the inning. Talk about generating some momentum. Aaliyah Thornton just not able to get around that tag. And hopefully some momentum generated for this Thunder offense, who already up 2-0 on this ballgame.
We've seen offenses put pressure on defenses to execute, and more often than not, it's been the aggressive offenses that have benefited. But that time, Trine able to execute, stays clean, gets the double play, gets out of a jam. Now looking to build on a 2-0 lead here in the home half of the third as the home team today. Back to the top of the order. All of her teammates were jealous that her name was on the uniform, that they got their names on the backs of the uniform. Ellie Trine, your player of the year in their conference. Look how supportive that group is. Again, we see all 8 teams that show up. So many great stories about their journeys here. And it's ultimately sad that you know that so many of them are going to be headed home. Already 5 seasons now completed this week in Salem. We're down to 3 teams playing softball. Somebody's going to be a very well-deserving champion. CNU awaits the winner of these 2. It is now irrelevant the fact that CNU didn't lose this week, other than the fact that perhaps a little less wear and tear on them. Whoever emerges from these 2 teams, it'll be a best-of-3 game series starting tomorrow. Doesn't matter if you had a loss or not. And a strikeout to Trine, as Whitehead's retired Trine twice.
And it looks like we've got Hall on the mound here, taking
Thank you.
it away from Ellie Trine. And again, we've talked about how important it is to be taking those hacks, never allow a pitcher to take those away from you.
Lofted and snagged by the glove of Shelby Daniel as they quickly retire Taylor Murdoch. Yeah, you're right. Blair Hall in the circle. We've seen her in every game. Daniel backing her up.
And seeing some outstanding defense from both of these clubs today. Again, the defense has been lacking, or was lacking, in our 6 games yesterday. Saw a number of mistakes be made, especially by the infield. Lots of miscues, miscommunications, just missed opportunities to limit the free passes. And that has made a big difference today, made a big difference yesterday in who ultimately was remaining on the field, going from 8 to 4. And now Lincoln, by the end of today, will go from 4 to 2.
Then 2 to 1.
And 2 to 1.
Vikings ended the season of the Warriors last night. Again, the newcomers looking to make the most of their journey here to Salem. Jackson across the diamond to Fry. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning with Blair Hall stepping into the circle here in the 3rd. That quickly gets the bats of the Vikings back to the plate, looking to strike. Second game of the day here in Salem, Virginia. Moyer Sports Complex, Lincoln Rose, along with former Houston Cougar Sydney Gearbracht. And Sydney, we have been spoiled with some sensational softball, great individual efforts, fantastic defensive plays last game. As right now, it's Trine up by a pair of runs, and it's Keppel trying to defend that lead, facing the middle 3rd of the order for Berry. Now for a second time, Morgan Fry grounded out to the left side, back in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1 so far today.
Keppel, the only starting pitcher in this game, still in it for her team, having completed 3 full innings. We saw Hall come in for Whitehead.
I am off, by the way, because of that double play. This is Anna Jackson, your National Catch of the Year and sophomore.
Something we come to expect at this point in the year are the adjustments that hitters make at bat to at bat, but we've also seen teams make some big adjustments game to game. We talked about how important defense is and executing those details, and how we've seen teams really tighten it up in these remaining innings that they're playing, each of them trying to extend their season until Tuesday.
We saw the Bulldogs extend their season, but not as many innings as they wanted for TLU. They pushed their first game today to the 9th. That's when the walk-off would occur for CNU. CNU's been walking a tightrope, trying to avoid that 2nd loss of the season. Of course, no losses this week. Ball gets through for Jackson. Base hit for Anna, as Anna Gill will send it back in. Leadoff hitter reaches for the 2nd straight inning now for the Vikings.
First base, number 2, Morgan Fry.
And Anna Jackson gets around on an outside pitch, but has enough pop behind it to just poke it through that 5-6 hole. Seen that a lot today, where timing's a little bit off, but a lot of teams have been able to barrel it up and still poke it through the infield.
Morgan Fry could very well tie the ball game right here. With that said, they've also seen her square around a bunt. What you don't see in that shot is that Ashley Swartout is halfway down the line, ready for her to square around.
Yeah, Morgan Fry did a beautiful drop bunt that surprised. Don't remember which defense it surprised, but Fry was very safe. Not something you necessarily expect from the home run hitter, but we love the dynamic.
Shoots that one right up the middle through the circle and into center field. Trine will knock it down. Jackson and Fry each with singles to lead off this inning. Tying run is on base.
Incomparably to our first game, liking that Berry's offense is doing what they need to do, choosing good pitches, playing good softball, but keeping it simple, right? Not trying to necessarily swing for the fences. Saw both the Bulldogs and the captains press a little bit in those last couple innings, especially once the pressure cooker really turned on in innings 7, 8, and 9.
Dennis Smith will come out and talk to Keppel, who right now still has a 2-run lead. Only starting pitcher still left in this ball game. Top of the 4th, a couple of singles for Jackson and Fry to get things started. And there's your on-deck hitter, Shelby Daniel. Very stressed out, talking to Emily Stanley in her 3rd year as head coach. Dennis Smith with Brittany Harvey rounding out this staff for Trine with head coach Donnie Dankelson. Daniel already a hit today. She was stranded on 3rd back in the 2nd inning, one of 2 runners left in scoring position. There have been 3 left in scoring position so far by Berry, who have been held scoreless up to this point. Puts down the bunt. Only play to be made at first. Trying able to secure the out, but back to 2 runners in scoring position now. Jackson and Fry is Shelby Daniel with the sack bunt.
Yeah, and Berry not able to return the favor, laying that bunt down. That was ultimately how Trine scored their runs, off of a miscue there. Talked about how important it is for teams to be able to field that cleanly, get that out.
All right, here's Blair Hall, now your pitcher, but also continuing as your DP hitting. Well, she was hit by a pitch from Keppel right on the hands back in the 2nd inning. And Donnie Dankelson coming over to our home plate umpire. We'll see what he has in mind. I believe Keppel will step out. We'll introduce you to new pitcher in the circle. Inheriting a 2-run lead, but also inheriting 2 base runners. Lauren Clausen, a 2nd-team All-Conference pitcher, replaces your starter Anna Keppel, a 2nd-team All-Conference pitcher for Trine. Donnie Dankelson has some pretty good options. Lauren, out of Elk Grove, Illinois, really some valuable innings in relief this year. At times, it even stepped in as a Game 2 starter throughout the season. She inherits Anna Jackson on 3rd and the tying run, potentially Morgan Fry on 2nd. Morgan just sneaking into the edge of your screen. Blair Hall, the opposing pitcher, unable to assist herself. Now 2 away. How about that for a return on your investment for Lauren Clausen?
That's a big out there for Clausen. And comparably to Keppel, so the same amount of innings coming into today's game, but Clausen's going to have a 1.3 ERA and is going to have about a 1/3 more strikeouts than Keppel. So coming into this game with 67.
Abby Gamble swings away after her sack bunt. Clausen comes in with 2 in scoring position. She throws 2 pitches. And as a result, Trine to continue the trend, up by 2. There is a red-tailed hawk who has got I believe they call it a bird's eye view of some great softball this week. Raising a couple of youngins. Seagulls are gone. Not sure if they were there in solidarity with them. They're down to Vikings, some Thunder, and some Captains. Beautiful skies above. Fluffy white clouds, non-threatening. Here's the threat for Trine, though. Ashley Swartout singled back in the second. Her pinch runner would come home. Boy, Lauren Clausen came in for Anna Keppel, inheriting runners on third and second with one out. She threw 2 pitches, got 2 pop-outs. And out of that jam, Blair Hall, your reliever in this ball game, was one of them. She thought she had a pretty good chance of pitching with maybe even a tie ball game here, but still no room for error. Swartout, Elliott, and Byer due up. Combined 2 for 3 today with 2 runs scored. Smoked but foul. Again, Wheaton ran for Swartout, who then re-entered defensively the next half inning. Swartout, yet another all-conference performer, the senior for Trine this year. Trying to get something started. Second time today she's led off an inning. This time she'll be retired against a different pitcher, Blair Hall.
And a big out there for Blair Hall, especially with Swartout. Some of the numbers she's putting up this season, though. Nobody on base for Swartout to continue to contribute to that RBI number. One of the leading RBI manufacturers on this Trine offense.
And Trine only had to play 5 innings yesterday. A 9-1 run roll win, giving Salisbury its first loss. Daniel across the diamond in time into the glove of Morgan Fry. 2 teams, CNU and Trine, just had to suit up once yesterday. Everybody else played twice. Brought us 4 teams into today. We're down to 3 as TLU has seen its run come up short of where we had seen them the past 2 championships. Quickly, 2 outs now for Emma Byer, who's doubled and scored in the second. The insurance run right now for Trine. One 2/3 inning so far in relief for Blair.
Blair Hall becoming more and more solid, more and more precise as this tournament has gone on. Really settled in to her rhythm. And has played both a starting role and a relief role throughout the season. Hall and Gore have split most of the innings.
The 2-1 to Byer lays off at 3-1. Trine's actually been out hit by Berry so far, but Berry no runs on 4 hits. Trine 2 runs on 2 hits, both those hits in the second inning, including Byer's double. And a walk. Emma Byers on the bases for a second time. She extends this 4th inning with 2 outs.
And so far, 2 outs has been that magic scenario for the Trine Thunder. That's where they believe where they got their runs last time back in the second inning. Used a sacrifice bunt that ultimately ended up with 2 runs crossing over the dish.
Yeah, I can't remember if the NCAA adopted the rules that you could only score with 2 outs.
Well, it seems to be working well for the Thunder currently.
Mercedes Doherty at the plate. Put down a bunt that created some chaos back in the second inning. Ball got thrown around. 2 runs came home. as your National Catch of the Year, just a sophomore. She might have a stranglehold on that award for a couple more years. Count 1-2. So after the 2-out walk by Beyer, a chance to get out of the inning here for Blair Hall. Perhaps one strike away. Runner going, and easily having the bag. Emma Beyer able to cling to the bag afterwards. Anna Jackson did not have much of a chance here.
Beyer staying right out of reach of that tag.
Bobbled by Riley Jackson, composes herself, fires it over, and after all that, Trine will strand Emma Beyer in scoring position. 4 batters come to the plate for the Thunder, but Blair Hall able to keep them scoreless once more, as Berry's still within 2. A champion will be crowned on this field in a couple of days. But starting tomorrow, we'll be down to 2 teams. That championship series will be getting underway. Just 1 game tomorrow. The captains of CNU will be playing in it. It'll either be Trine or Berry joining them. Berry today needs to come back here for a win and then win again later this afternoon. Trine, if they win this game, they move on. If they lose this game but manage to pull out the second game, they move on. Trine at an advantage, having not yet lost this week. They played 1 game on Thursday. That technically carried into Friday. And 1 game yesterday. Berry's been a little busier. 0-2 pitch from Clausen, who's already thrown exponentially more pitches to start this inning than she did when 2 pitches got her 2 outs last inning. Sydney Maroney at the plate right now. Two and two.
And even though her peer Abby Gamble has moved up in the lineup, Sydney Maroney, Gamble, and Aaliyah Thornton have been really key to this Berry's offense, setting up the top of the order. And Maroney, clutch.
Go ahead. It'll be true. It'll be true eventually, and it has been in the past.
Tough break there for Maroney, but known to her team and to her coaches as being able to come up clutch offensively.
Aaliyah Thornton singled back in the 3rd, stole second base, but a double play turned by Trine would negate any potential threat.
And of the double plays that we've seen be executed this weekend, that one was probably one of the more complicated. Everything has to go right in order for those 2 outs to be put up on the board.
Ball was hit to left side. They looked Thornton back to second, threw to first. She then made a break to third, so tag would then have to be made, and it was. Leah comes up here, 1 out, nobody on, then top of the order with Katie White on deck. Berry out hitting Trine. By the way, you don't quite see it in your shot there, but second baseman Emma Beyer is almost a secondary pitcher.
Haven't seen a shift like this in quite some time.
And of course, Thornton is going opposite field. And an illegal pitch will change that foul ball to a ball. And pardon me, no, it wasn't an illegal pitch. It was the batter's out for stepping out of the box when she made contact with that ball. One day we need more limbs to make these gestures.
And you never know what play is going to be the defining play, and often there isn't one. But it looks like
Oof.
from that spot, maybe comes out of the box a little too close to the plate. Not a definitive look there
No.
for those of us in the box.
I don't believe that's reviewable. All right, so Thornton retired on what she thought was a foul ball. Here's Katie White. Lauren Clausen's not going to question it.
And you hope that a game never comes down to one final moment. But those are the most exciting, and those are often the ones that you remember.
Was there an exciting moment in that last game?
I would say maybe that walk-off home run, maybe? Maybe those multiple catches by Curran.
There's a lot going on out there in right field. If last game could be summed up, we just would have one camera on right field and the wall.
Right, exactly.
3 up, 3 down inning. As Trine going back to the plate, looking for insurance. Well, another opportunity lost offensively for the Vikings. Just means they need to keep shutting things down defensively with Blair Hall in the circle. She emerged in the 3rd inning, worked a quick 3 up, 3 down. She's faced one more than the minimum in relief. Here's your 8-hitter, Anna Gill, showing bunt after flying out to center back in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1.
And Gill's been really fun to watch this tournament. Had a couple hits along the way, been able to lay down the bunt. She's been done a great job executing for her team throughout this tournament.
Foul ball touched by Jackson in the batter's box.
Thought that was going to be a moment where I was going to start bragging on a player, and then they're somehow going to be out.
I say stay positive. Keep those good notes coming. If they don't want to pounce on it, take advantage of that opportunity.
Listen, I just want to celebrate these athletes and all of the work that it's taken to get up to this point.
And that's when the earthquake happened. Well, you'll have to settle for thunder. As right now, Anna Gill and Trine up by 2 here in the bottom of the 5th. Probably not comfortable. See if they can manufacture another run or two. Through the wickets, off the bag. And if that bag wasn't there, maybe there's a chance. But that was going to be one obstacle too many. Gill is on with a single.
And no outs on the board here. Bit of offensive momentum generated for the Thunder. Hall just not able to field her spot there. It's a hard hit ball. Again, not doing too much. Still an infield single from Gill. That's what we've seen the Trine offense be really successful with, is no need to necessarily rely on the long ball.
Ainsley Phillips shows bunt, stolen base for Gill. Again, nothing Anna Jackson can do there. A speedy runner. See that left wrist. She broke that wrist earlier this year. But has come back, which makes her ability to swing a bat all the more impressive. So Phillips has a teammate in scoring position. Ainsley popped out to second back in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1 today. Her first time up since then. It was just the 3rd hit of the game for Trine, who've led most of the ball game now. Katie White out in left, has it, and there's no chance for Anna Gill to tag up on a ball out there to left field. 1 away.
And Gill immediately goes back for the tag on that. And some programs have different philosophies, but generally, you're only going to be tagging if you're going. So if Gill wants to push the envelope there, see if that ball drops, she can take that extra base.
Ellie Trine, a fly out and a strikeout so far. And I know you love math. You've pointed out several times when people are struggling, they are due.
They are due, yes.
She's a 400 hitter coming into this week.
Well, that's what's so much fun about having all of these individual stats for a team sport. You get an idea of what you need to throw, how you need to approach a batter like Trine, who, yes, is due right now according to her numbers. And too, as a player, that's also nice to know, hey, I'm a 400 hitter. I haven't necessarily gotten the looks in my first 2 at-bats. I'm due. Helps build a little bit of confidence.
Loaded out towards the shortstop. Now she's extra due. 2 away. And Shelby Daniel brings it in.
Well, if you're Trine, you know that you're not going to get anything good. There's a target on your back, so to speak. Berry's going to try to do what they can, regardless of who is in the circle, trying to keep it away from you, especially in this scenario. And Berry doing a great job here of battling back with 2 outs on the board and now a runner in scoring position.
Taylor Murdoch, senior back at the plate, 0 for 2 today. Not tempting for her. How many times did you have a pitch like that? It still hit the barrel of your bat. Got a cheap strike on you.
Maybe once.
Okay.
Maybe. There are other moments in my at-bats that are more memorable, however.
There's 2 outs if you want to start listing them.
I guess I could.
A single from Anna Gill led off this inning. Since then, a fly out and pop out. As she stole second, has not been able to budge since then. And Trine has not been able to bring another run home under the watch and relief of Blair Hall. Count 2-1.
I will say your reference to Gill hitting the ball between Hall's wickets brought back memories of an article of my breaking up a Kaylani Ricketts no-hitter, and the title was Through Ricketts' Wickets.
Nice.
Haven't heard that phrase
Those were
since
some
then.
slightly taller wickets. And I'm sure she, well, she liked Blair Hall. Got to swing a bat in probably the next half inning.
She sure did.
Kaylani still has nightmares about Sydney Gearbrack.
Mm.
The 3-1. Count goes full to Murdoch. So runner on second, Anna Gill. Gonna stay there for now with 2 outs. Murdoch still battling off pitches with a full count. Murdoch has struck out and lined out today.
Murdoch has already had a home run in this tournament, leads this Thunder squad.
Slow bounce over to Daniel. And she had the base runner crossing right in front of her. But all's good.
And Murdoch finding a way on base here. Chooses a good pitch. High chopper.
Yeah, our umpire immediately indicated no interference. The runners on the corners.
Yeah, Gill just has to dash past Daniel there.
As Prather. Quiet so far today.
And Prather is really going to be that player to watch in those big moments. She was responsible for a grand slam that ultimately resulted in a run rule. Brought her up to a casual 45 RBIs on the season coming into today's game.
I believe that was off to left center if my brain still works after those games.
Yes.
That was against the Seagulls.
Mm-hmm.
The 0-2 to Prather. This one down the line into foul territory. Gets down, out beyond the range of Katie White. Fifth batter of this inning. After a single, a fly out, a pop out, and Murdoch most recently able to extend this inning on an error. Prather again underneath this one into foul territory. Neither starting pitcher remains in this ball game. It's Blair Hall in the circle. She got the start as the DP, as always. They quickly went to her in the third inning. She responded with a perfect 3 up, 3 down. She's faced 3 more than the minimum so far. Prather now punches it the other way, just so both fan bases get some souvenirs.
And Prather may have had that grand slam against the Seagulls, but she's actually known for her double production, leading this Thunder offense in doubles all season long.
Trying to avoid being the third out for a third time. This one, a shot towards the wall, and that ball is gone. Prather with her second home run this week in Salem, a big one, as that will draw the Thunder a little closer to being one of the final 2 teams playing softball in Division III.
Well, Amanda Prather seeing the ball really well. Like I just mentioned, really the doubles leader for this Thunder offense, but getting it done with multiple home runs so far this weekend and a 3-run shot there for Prather. Well done.
Granny yesterday, a 3-run blast here after the inning was extended by an error by the Vikings. And that was a no-doubter. They were pretty sure they could book those hotels for another couple of days, but I think they're getting a little more comfortable. They may have to ask for some new towels. They are passing around new cards.
Yeah, so it looks like each time a new pitcher takes the mound, they're going to get a new card. Not every team is going to use that system, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, Danielle Sudix, your new pitcher for Berry. Trine's lead has grown to 5. Danielle Sudik makes her 15th appearance on the year. 3.5 ERA, 21 strikeouts through 28 innings. Opponents hitting .277 against the sophomore from Peachtree City, Georgia. And she becomes the 3rd pitcher of the day with the season on the line for the Berry Vikings. Moments ago, a 3-run home run with 2 outs by Amanda Prather. Now the cleanup hitter swore out.
And we saw each of the infielders for the Berry infield switch out their cards, so they're tracking with their pitching coach what their pitcher is going to be throwing. Also helps them predict where they might need to go, what sort of spin they can, or what sort of ball maybe hit their way.
That one avoids grazing Sword out. Sword out 1 for 2 today. Single, and ultimately her pinch runner scored in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. Sixth batter of this inning. Last 3 have come up with 2 outs. Taylor Murdoch reached on that error in the infield. That allowed Prather to come up. That's a 3-run blast for Prather. Scarlett Elliott on deck if Swartout can keep the inning alive. But this should do it. Shelby Daniel has it. But Trine, who had been stuck on a 2-0 scoreline, stretches it to a 5-run lead on to the 6th inning. Berry down to its final 6 outs. Donnie Dankelson, the only head coach Trine has known since joining D3. So hands down, greatest coach they've ever had, and, well, I hate to say it, the worst during that stretch. Donnie is on the verge of getting them into the final pairing. It'll be a best-of-3 game series that would start tomorrow with 1 game regardless of outcome, then up to 2 games if necessary. Subsequent day, Vikings at the moment, 6 outs to work with. Obviously, that's subject to change based on what Trine does in the home half of the 6th. Of course, Lauren Clausen's come in. Faced 5 batters, retired 5 batters. Here's Riley Jackson. And Riley's had some tough luck. She had that shot back to the pitcher, Keppel, that glanced off her glove, and the back middle of the infield was still able to recover for Trine. And she hit into that double play that ended the 3rd inning. And came into this week hitting .371. So one out towards right. It's not going to carry. Murdoch underneath it, 1 away. And if you're Berry, you don't want to leave it all to be done in the 7th inning. I know it's easy to say all this. Harder to actually follow through, especially when you're up against a team the caliber of Trine or anybody you might meet this week. Here's Anna Jackson. She singled to lead off the 4th inning. She was stranded on 3rd when it was all said and done.
And depending on what looks they're getting from Clausen, going to be important for Berry to do the same thing that Trine did and put the ball on the ground, force the team to make a play. Going to want to avoid lifting the ball in the air. Yes, of course, you have that moment when you want to work gap to gap for long singles, doubles, home runs potentially.
This will be out of play.
But really, this is the moment where you want to be putting it on the ground as much as possible. Downward bat angle, slicing it in half. Then best case scenario, once you've got your timing down, you get that backward spin, turning your singles into doubles, doubles into home runs.
We're hearing reports of softball-sized hail coming down in select areas of Salem. So stay in the infield, Byer, 2 away.
And just have to tip your hat to Clausen, doing a great job keeping Berry's offense off balance.
Yeah, remember, her first 2 pitches each led to a pop-up in the infield.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, her defense, they don't need the cards. They know what their pitcher throws. And more often than not, that sends balls into the sky. Here's Morgan Fry. 1 for 2. She's singled against Keppel, the second to last batter that Keppel would face in the 4th inning before the change was made to Clausen.
And we've seen Coach Dinkelson do a good job of pulling his pitchers before it's too late. We've seen a bit of hesitation, I think, coaches wanting to trust their pitchers, but Dinkelson here to say, I'm going to give this Berry team the least amount of looks at some of these pitches that my depth of bullpen can throw. And hopefully these 3 pitchers can get the job done without ever having to go to Adrian Rosie.
Yeah, they leaned on her for the first 2 games, gambled that they would only have to play 2 games. They did. Trine and CNU, the best positioned teams coming into today. It was, and still is, far from a given that both of them move on. But Trine has certainly increased their odds with the 3-run blast last half inning from Amanda Prather. Maximizing that final out. That's what Morgan Fry is trying to do here.
Well, and what a time to be seeing the ball as well as Amanda Prather seeing it. Game after game, so far she's been able to produce for her offense. Probably seeing the ball the best she's ever seen it.
Nothing but good times on that side of the stands. Clausen in the circle, Morgan Fry at the plate. Again, Fry 1 for 2 today. Left side, that's a foul ball. Scarlett Elliott was ready regardless. Have to play it as if it's fair until you're told otherwise. And another chance for Fry against Clausen. And again, there's no guarantee that Berry gets to bat again. if Trine manages to score 3 and Berry doesn't plate any runs here. This pitch will miss outside, and Fry very selective with 2 strikes.
Great discipline there from Fry. Knows it's a little bit too far outside.
Hit her 13th homer of the year earlier this week. The 2-2. That'll get through. Second hit for Morgan Fry, the cleanup hitter. This with 2 outs in the 6th inning.
And Berry continuing to out-hit the Thunder. And Morgan Fry, that's a great at-bat. Saw a lot of pitches. Able to foul a couple off. And again, capitalizes on a higher pitch. Downward bat angle, puts the ball on the ground, forces the defense to be able to make a play. Gets a good piece of that ball.
Here's Shelby Daniel. Singled in the 2nd, put down a sac bunt in the 4th. She was the last batter that Keppel faced, so now the 9th batter that Clausen has faced in relief. Daniel was left stranded on 3rd base back in that 2nd inning when Berry stranded 2. Berry's now stranded 5 base runners in scoring position. Trine looking for that 3rd and final out. They've got it. As Berry will strand another runner, their 6th overall runner of the ball game. And there's no guarantee Berry bats again. Trine can end it with 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th, currently up by 5. Back in Salem, city of Salem, Virginia, combined with the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, always great hosts here at the Moyer Sports Complex. We were here last year, most recently. Be a few years before we come back with Division III as they renovate this fantastic venue. So Trine leads by 5. They scored 2 in the 2nd, 3 more in the 5th. 5 runs on 4 hits, aided by 2 errors from Berry today. Here's Scarlett Elliott leading things off in the 6th inning. Berry's down to their final 3 outs, and Trine could decide not even to give them those 3 outs if they happen to score 3 runs here, which is easy. You just bring up Amanda Prather, maybe put a couple of runners in front of her. She has a grand slam yesterday and a 3-run home run today. She's the only player this week so far with multiple home runs. But we've certainly seen some memorable home runs, including a walk-off in our first contest. They're going to talk to Sudik for a moment. And maybe might be an issue in the circle of maybe some dirt needs to be replaced. We'll see. Nope. Good to go. How dare I suggest that this place is anything but immaculate. The grounds crew has done a fantastic job. Think about that. They prepped this field for 6 different games yesterday. And we haven't seen a single play affected by this surface. Now sometimes those walls are a little too close in the outfield and the ball seems to drift over. Elliott 0 for 2 today. On deck, Emma Byer has doubled in walks so far. Sudik, the 3rd different pitcher used by Berry. Started with Whitehead, then Blair Hall. Now Danielle Sudik. The 2-2. Gamble at 2nd. Perfect throw. Gets the out. They're going to issue a new softball. And you and I are always waiting. After yesterday, we saw a ball determined not to be used again, and a pitcher was cautioned. But nobody pointing fingers here at Danielle Sudik.
I think it was Amanda Gore yesterday that was cautioned for Milliken.
It was a Milliken pitcher.
It not have been Gore.
It was not an issue again. But it was a lengthy discussion. There are different towels that are similar. Some you can use, some are not advised. Use it at your own risk. That might leave something on the ball. Gonna hang up there, coming in, and able to glove it, Shelby Daniel.
Beautiful play there by Daniel. That is a tough play. Good opportunity to leave her feet. You think that ball's going to hang up there a little bit longer than it does. Comes down quick.
Look, it's one thing to catch it. It's the other to not let that ball then roll out of the glove.
Yep.
She basically has to catch it twice. You have a scratch as a souvenir.
Well, this time's as good as any.
I think Trine's going to have a pinch hitter here for Mercedes Doherty. This is Giselle Riley, sophomore from Temecula, California. Two outs, nobody on. She was looking for a 3-run home run right there.
I mean, it's a good choice.
She's got 3 home runs on the year. This is her 31st game. I think 32nd game. I think we've seen her once this week. And a quick time stepping out, Riley. Elliott and Byer both retired in order this inning. The latter thanks to a diving catch from Daniel. Coach realized that's not a laptop. See what the pinch hitter can do here with 2 outs. And Trine's lead was 2-0 after 2. It stayed that way for a while. Berry was threatening. Until 3 runs last inning. And Trine trying to help themselves out by completely slamming that door shut on Berry if somehow they can find 3 runs with 2 outs. But at the moment, for Berry, you've got Blair Hall, Abby Gamble, and Sydney Maroney waiting to have a crack at it in the next half inning. And that next half inning will in fact come. So 6 in the books. Berry 2-1 on the week. Down possibly to their final 3 outs in this memorable campaign. Can they make some more memories? Top of the 7th is next. We move on to the top of the 7th. We are not guaranteed any more softball today unless the Vikings want to intervene and extend their season. Our first game today, the Bulldogs are able to play 9, and this will help. Blair Hall staying in the ball game as a DP for exactly that reason. 1 pitch, has a base hit to show for it, and the Vikings are still very much playing softball here in 2022.
Well, the Vikings have out-hit Trine so far today. Biggest difference we've seen has been the 2 errors that Berry has made. But Blair Hall doing what she can to drop that single into the pocket.
Chandler Hall ran out of eligibility about 8 years ago with the Texas State Bobcats.
Yes, I was going to say.
Last time I saw her, she was throwing a no-hitter in the Southland Conference Championship game against Sam Houston State for their 2nd straight berth to the NCAA tournament. But what happened yesterday, I can't tell you. Abby Gamble comes up, sacrifice bunt and a pop out today. Big cut. And now Blair Hall will head down to second, and she is out. Oh, just couldn't get down the line to take advantage of a window there. And the comeback window's been narrowed significantly.
That's a tough out. And in that moment, if you're Hall, if you're not regularly stealing bases, when you go back, you kind of just got to stay back and just say, you know, missed my opportunity to take that extra 60 feet. It's okay. I trust my team to get the job done.
That's not an important enough run to take anything but a 100% chance ahead of you. And when I say it's not important, she needs to score, but it's not something that's going to be tying up the ball game.
Yep.
She's going to have to be part of a big inning. And Abby Gamble right now with a 3-2 count to her name with one away. First trip to the championship week for Berry. They're one of 3 teams still playing. 5 have already packed up. Payoff pitch, ball 4. And you could have potentially 2 on right now with nobody out instead. 1 away. Gamble on first.
An important conversation to be having with your players as a coach and with yourself as a player is, you know, do I know my speed? Do I have a good understanding of where I can push the envelope, where I can't? We saw obviously best case scenario. You're like Kelly Jordan from the Bulldog squad, where she has an idea of where she can push her limits. Not necessarily successful every single time. So if you're not speedy, if you don't know your speed, then it's probably not a risk that's worth taking, especially in a moment like this.
Here's Katie Parker, who will pinch hit for Sydney Maroney. Maroney 0 for 2 so far today. Parker, a freshman, hitting .254 coming into this week with 11 RBI. Comes up with Gamble on first after the walk and 1 out. Lauren Clausen came in back in the 4th inning. At the time with a 2-run lead, her teammates finally rewarded her with an additional 3. Thanks to the 3-run home run from Amanda Prather. As pinch runner for Berry now is going to be Grace Hamilton in place of Gamble. Berry entered today already with a loss this week. That came yesterday. CNU handed it to them. They had a lead on the captains. A couple of teams this week have, but it didn't last. Fighting that sun, Byer has it, 2 away, and Hamilton has to stay at first.
Had to battle a couple different elements here in Salem. First day we were battling some rain. Adrian Rosie for Trine. Certainly battling that against their game, ultimately their win against Eastern, which would span 2 days because we'd have a weather delay.
Here's Aaliyah Thornton. Singled and stole a base back in the 3rd. Again, if you're a pinch runner, that job description is one thing. You don't want to be cut off for the final out. Ansley Phillips tried to end the game right there. The Vikings are down to their final out here in 2022. Trailing by 5 in the top of the 7th. A year in which they have so far gone 36-12. They swept the titles in the Southern Athletic Association, including the automatic bid back to the NCAA tournament. They went 2 to paw and denied a team that was here last year a return trip by run ruling them in that opening game. This is after they knocked off Birmingham Southern multiple times in their own conference tournament, another team we saw here last year. They would sweep Bethel in the Super Regional. They would knock off last year's runner-up, TLU. Back on Thursday. Elliott across the diamond. Thunder to the championship series. It'll be Trine and CNU We're down to 2.
Outstanding offense and defense. Ultimately, like we saw in that first game, who was going to be able to execute in the big moments and ultimately trying able to play some great softball, piece it together. First team to keep this Berry offense as a shutout.
1:30 Eastern time tomorrow. There will be one game played between Trine and CNU. They'll then turn around and on Tuesday play either 1 or 2 as needed in a best 2 of 3 game series. Trine and CNU each go 3-0 this week. One of them is 2 wins away from being national champions. What a year from Berry. Unprecedented, uncharted waters for the Vikings. They hope to be back soon after their first trip to the Division III championship. For Sydney Gearbrack, I'm Lincoln Rose. Big thanks to our entire NCAA.com crew. We've got at least 2 more games left on the Division III softball calendar. National championship within reach for these Trine Thunder, and standing in their way some captains of CNU.